Hey guys, how you doing? Gavin Timms with REI Network. I have got another episode for you. Before I introduce these guys, just a quick thing. If you are on the podcast or on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, and make sure you comment on this video if you have any questions. Also, just before we get going, I want to give you some free records to download from Batch. If you go to batchleads.io/Gavin, it's actually been up to 5,000 records. So 5,000 free records that you can download and get skip trace with a 7-day trial as of right now. So go ahead and jump on that while you can. So batchleads.io/Gavin. Okay, so I want to introduce my two guests. I'm just going to tell you real quick how we have got here. So I do not know this couple. Okay, we just spoke for literally 2 minutes. I just went on to one of our Facebook groups and said, hey, I got a minute. I want to do a live coaching call. Someone that I've never spoke to that I can record. Is anyone available? Kathleen message said, yes, we are. And here we are. So that is about as much as I know. So this is, guys, going to be a free coaching call. It's raw. We're going to get right into it. So you see what I kind of do when I work with clients. Okay. And if you do want to work with me, you can go to reinetwork.com/coaching, reinetwork.com/coaching. All right. So we have Kathleen and Bill. How are you?
Hey,
Doing
we're
good.
doing well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. I know this is super random. I appreciate it. But I always believe that, the rawness of it gets across to everybody that's listening. Okay. So appreciate you getting on. I know you know a little bit about me, obviously from the group, but I want to find out a little bit more about you and what you guys have what going on. So where are you located? Where are you trying to do deals right now?
Well, we're located just south of Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
We have been studying a lot of your material, a lot of Joe McCall's material, and so forth. We haven't done any deals yet. We're still in the information gathering mode, but
Slowly getting into it.
yeah, but we're very anxious to really get rolling, and we can really use a little help, getting there.
Got it. Okay. So you're in South Nashville. You've started to. You're in education overload, right? Let's just put it that way, right? You're in the training. You kind of probably know more than I do at this point, and so now we've got to start putting it into action to get results, right?
Right.
So tell me then a little bit about how the process, like where are you with that? So you've now started to implement, right? But what do you know? What are you trying to do? Kind of just tell me exactly where you are.
Well, our main focus is we want to make real estate investing our source of income. And we want to eventually get to the point where we're not involved, like 12 hours a day or whatever.
Got it.
We're going through the modules and we've seriously gone through about the first 6. And, we've gone over them a couple of times and we've started scraping lists from Scraping Solutions.
Okay.
And initially I've been going through the lists and trying to familiarize myself with how to, kind of edit them and like not get houses that are brand new, obviously new on the market, or that are owned.
Recently
Yeah, we're not focusing on LLC owned. We're trying to find individual owned.
or that have been recently purchased within the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Further out than that, so.
Okay. So are you doing off market stuff or are you focusing on what's on market? Like from like Zillow, for instance?
We've been focusing on Zillow because, we're just really getting into it. So we're targeting for sale by owner. And then we're targeting Zillow for rent.
Okay.
Seeing if they're interested in leasing for a couple of years and then selling the home.
Okay. And how long with this list editing, how long is that taking you?
Like a day. I mean,
it's quite involved actually.
And part of it's a learning curve, just getting in there. And like the first couple of times I did it, I would think I was done and then I would get it uploaded or prepped, and then I would realize, oh, you know what? I have a bunch of homes on here that are new construction,
Got it.
like in the for rent part. So just kind of learning what to look for.
Got it.
Better at that.
Well, let's hold up that right there real quick. Okay. So what you need to think about is that when you're scraping Zillow, you can take it all, right? You can take all of it because your cost of that is a one-time fee of getting that scrape. Now, if we were having this conversation, we were going off market and we were going to have to go to do skip tracing and things like that, then it's more costly. So we want to obviously create that list of some kind of motivation, right? So I get that. But when you're looking at Zillow, don't be too concerned about taking any of that away, right? And here's why. It's taking you a full day to get that scraped. You could just text everyone within 5 minutes of all them that you're trying to remove, and they will wean themselves out anyway with either, no, we just want to sell, right? Does that make sense? So for the sake of a text message, your time that's going in, just get them to say no, or they might say yes if it's been on one day. Does that make sense? Because the key is as well with the 1 days is, okay, I agree. On the majority of them, they're not going to close probably, right? You're not going to have a conversation. It went on yesterday and you want to do a lease option. They're trying to sell the home. What are they going to say? No, we just want to sell, right? So we already know that's going to happen. So the question is, well, what if it doesn't sell? What are you going to do if it doesn't sell within the allotted time that you want it to sell? And that is then when you get them on follow-up. So anyone listening to this needs to be priming them leads down the pipeline. So it doesn't matter that they've been on 1 day. Does that make sense?
So
because
is this for both the rentals and the FSBOs?
Absolutely.
Okay, because the list I was weeding down, the FSBOs, we were just putting them on and texting them.
Yeah, because there's less of them.
The rentals was the one that I was kind of weeding down because we were doing yellow letters for the rentals. We weren't texting.
Got it. Okay.
Did text all of them first and then follow up with yellow letters?
It depends on what you're trying to do. Like for me, the more conversations you can have, the more chance of doing a deal, right? Because it's a numbers game. Okay. But it's that quality of conversation and making sure that you get where the seller is at, okay, or the property manager or the realtor or whatever, where they're at, and then scheduling them out accordingly. And did that happen? Whatever they told you, did that actually happen? So for instance, it's been up for rent for a day. What do they want to do? They want to rent it. But what if it doesn't rent? So that's the conversation that I would be having with them, saying, you can compliment the house. Looks like a great house. We're in a hot market. You can agree with all them things. But if it doesn't rent, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, right? What are you going to do then? Well, not really thought about it. Hopefully it does rent. Okay. Well, let's just say it doesn't. Would you consider selling it? Well, yeah, not thought about selling it, but I might sell it. So all of a sudden you're having these conversations and all you're doing is priming the leads from down the line. If you do enough of that, they're not all going to rent.
Right.
And they're not all going to sell. The majority will. So you can't identify that from a list, right? You can't just look at a list and say, well, this is the motivation. Because if you prime it right, you will get it down the line. So you need to stop spending all that time. And there's two things. You're just going to text them anyway, because that takes you seconds, not a day. Or you get a VA to do it for you. They're the only thing too. It does not warrant your time. Your time needs to be spent on the phone and making offers.
Okay. So on the rentals, at what point do you talk to them on the phone? Like if you send the text, hey, I saw your property, you wouldn't be interested in leasing it for a year or two and then selling, would you?
Yep. So any positive,
are going to say no, I would imagine, if they've only been on there, a day or two.
Potentially. So you could tag them, right? You could create a new tag, and just say, newly listed, right? So then you can fire them that automation that in 2 weeks you'll send them another text to check back in with them. And you can get the system to do that for you. And then anyone else that then engages with you, then you can get back on the phone and go, well, they said no, but now they're saying this. Okay. And you can get the system to do that for you. Okay. But your time needs to be spent with obviously motivated sellers. And what changes motivation? Time. Time is what changes everything. Okay. And you can look at this to make sense. You can look at your own personal things, right? Think about anything that's happened in life with family or jobs or whatever, where you had an opinion on this one day and then tomorrow you've now got a different opinion. It's just time. Something happened for it now to work. And most of the deals that I do comes from follow-up. And most of them said no first time. Most of them wanted too much money first time. But the reality is what they thought was going to happen didn't happen. And with follow-up, that's how we're going to get it. Right. And if you do enough of it, that's how you're going to turn it from a hobby into a business.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So we have probably like 700 because we've been doing lists for about a month and a half.
Yep.
We have about 700 something. Should we go back and text them all, even that we've sent yellow letters?
Yeah, and I think the yellow letters idea is a great idea because you are going to get more property managers and realtors on the rental side, right? So sending letters to the owners makes sense, and I would continue to do that, and kind of track, you know, what your response is with that. Okay, and that's something that, but you don't want to be doing that kind of in prime time. What I mean by that is if you analyze your day and look at your day, they're the times where you want to be doing it while you're watching TV in the evening and you're writing letters, right? You don't want to be doing it when you could be on the phone.
Okay.
Makes sense, in my opinion. Or you get that outsourced as well.
Okay.
And there's a time and a place for that, and there's a cost for that, right? Two things in this business you need: time, well, three: time or money or both, right? And that's how you need to run it. But you got to do it. You have to get the process down over a period of time because that's what's going to win overall. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I would definitely change that. Any other questions on that?
No, like I said, our VA just started today.
Okay.
And like I said, I had her work on some lists with scraping solutions, and we're just trying to focus. I was asking Bill, I'm like, is there a module that has a list of what the VA does exactly? Because I mean, I kind of talked to her. We're starting out with only 10 hours a week just to
Okay.
the budget.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to build on that. But, you know, having her work on lists and texting and doing that just help take a lot off us.
Yeah. So what you need the VA to do is everything that's a kind of a $5 an hour activity, and anything that's going to help you to get on the phone and make offers. That's where I would begin. Okay. So the VA, if they start texting, you need to be prepared to get on the phone because they're going to create leads for you. So even though you're not sitting there sending that text, they're going to be doing it for you. Okay. They're going to now create leads. And when you, in my opinion, the way I used to set it up, I obviously have my team do it now, is that when they start to engage, you're ready to get on the phone. Okay. So try and be available to get the most productivity out of the session. If you can, is VA texting, let's say 10 till 12, right? And you're available 10 till 12 to make calls. Because as they're texting you, they can be acting as you, and then they can alert you and say, hey, got one that's interested. You'll then pull up their text conversation and you can call them immediately, and it was you the whole time.
Okay.
Makes sense, right? Now, for everyone else that's listening, I'm not saying that that's the way you have to do it. That's just a way where it's more efficient. And why? Because let's say the VA is texting at 10 till 12, and then you're going to make calls 4 till 6. Now, what you've got to make sure is that you're not just getting the runaround because they were engaged with you earlier and now they're not answering the phone. Makes sense? So make sure you try and call from the same number or a local number, and just lift all boundaries. So if that doesn't work, anything's better than nothing. So I try and another question I always get is, well, when should I make calls? Whenever you can. 8 in the morning, lunch, dinner, evening, whatever, whenever you can is the right time to make the call. Don't put boundaries up, because what happens is people look for it for an excuse. Okay. And that's what people will do when they're in education mode. They will look for a reason to feel better about themselves to why they're not going to pick up that phone. And I've done it as well. Like, it could be, well, 8 o'clock. Well, they're probably having breakfast. It's a little early. I'll call them at lunch when I've got time. And then at lunch, well, they're probably in a lunch break. They're not going to want to talk to me. I'll get them after they finish. And then after finish, it's something else that you've come up with why. So you've got to stop that. And now is the new time. Okay. Just like we just got on this call, right? I mean, you answered. I just said, hey, who's in? Boom, you said yes, and here we are, right? Because we just got to get it done. I've got to get it done. You were available, and we're making it happen. That's how you need to run this business. You cannot overthink. You've just got to start taking action and really work on the things and look at the boundaries and the barriers that you've got mentally to why that's not happening. Okay. So good. Okay. So a little game plan then is we're going to stop all with the editing. And we're just going to text everybody because it's cheap. We might as well, because an hour, a day of your time to wean out 50 properties, you could have texted 50 properties in 2 minutes and weaned them out that way, right? You see where I'm going with that? So we got that. The VA is going to do everything in terms of texting is number one. Number two is running the CRM. So changing the status, updating the notes. And the way that you're going to communicate, if you don't want to be in that CRM, is you need to be messaging the VA. Okay, like a walkie-talkie, WhatsApp, Voxer, anything like that. And you can go, hey, spoke to Dave at 123 Main Street. Can you give him a call? Okay. Or not give him a call. Sorry. If you spoke to Dave at 123 Main Street, can you set a task? And this is what happened on the call. That's what I was supposed to say. And then here's all the notes, and then they will go in and put that up.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yes.
But they will be communicating with you in that way if they need you to do something.
Okay.
So you can rely on the CRM, but if you're not in there, you need a faster response way so they can get your attention and vice versa. So that's what we do, right? So if someone needs me, like I do a lot of cold calling. So what we do in the cold calling is that the VA, if I have something urgent, they will screenshot and message me immediately. Okay. And then we act on it immediately. So if there's like, someone's like, hey, I've really got to get rid of this property or blah, 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 we look for signs and then we'll have that. So the CRM's doing its work, but I need to know now. And that's when then we can make things happen. So you just got to look at that line of communication. So there's a place for urgency, and then there's a place where we'll get to it as and when we need. Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We've kind of been stymied on occasion with analysis paralysis. Are we doing exactly the right thing?
Yeah.
Should we go back and look at this module again to make sure that, and what you need to do is just need to start making those phone calls.
Oh, you just got to start making the phone calls, because you'll never know. You'll never figure it out, because this is a situation. It's a circumstance.
Yeah.
And everyone's different.
It's unnerving, talking to somebody that you've never spoken to before. And, it really requires that I have to get out of my comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Make these calls, and, it's an uncomfortable position to be in, but it's necessary.
Yeah. And I think if you go with the problem is that when people try and get on the phone, they think they need to know everything. Right. And all you're doing is asking questions to start with on your initial call. You haven't got to come on the call and be a closer on call one, right? You're there to gather information, find out what's going on, and then you can sit back and look at what you have for what your next move is going to be, right? Until you get better and you can do it on the fly. Like if I'm on if it was me, and we can do a role play here in a second, but if it's me, I'm pulling up Zillow and I'm looking at things and I'm engaging with the seller and I'm doing it right then and there. That comes with experience. So I can't teach someone to do that, because there's a time and a place when you're comfortable at that. And the more times that you do it, the more you will do while you've got them on the phone. But if you're new, if all you've got to do is go, right, I got 10 questions and I'm going to get answered. Okay. And with some certain framework, to position that call, you'll get better, right? I'm not big on scripts, but for instance, you know, leading into the call, and again, we'll do a role play here because I want you to be the one doing it. But let's say I'm new and I've got these certain questions written down. I'm going to come on, I'm going to try and engage with you and say, hey, we're just texting back and forth. You said you might be interested in, you know, renting the property. This was a for sale by owner, right? So I get on the phone and I say, hey, Bill, we were just texting back and forth about 123 Main Street. I've got a few more questions. Is now a good time? You might say yes. And I'll say, okay, great. Look, I only want to keep you for a few minutes so they know I'm not going to be keeping them long. Okay. I'm just going to ask you a few questions that's going to give me a better understanding about the property, which is going to help me then make an offer to you when I know kind of what the situation is. And once I've done that, I'm going to go look at the numbers and I'm going to get back to you. Right. And that little spiel there is just, okay, Bill knows what's happening now. And that's okay, Bill. So look, it seems like a great house. Why are you even selling this thing? And then I allow you to talk. Right. And then I might say, okay, so it's vacant right now. And then I'll go on. Oh, let me ask you. I mean, it's like I said, these pictures are up to date that I'm looking at, right? You say yes. And I'll say, oh, okay. Well, how old's the roof, if you don't mind me asking? The AC, condition, right? So there's four key things that I'm trying to get out in the conversation, okay, which is the condition, which is the situation and motivation, the price, and the timeline, right? They're kind of what my questions are all about when I'm engaging to then know what am I dealing with here. Because your answer is going to be, oh, no, it's in great condition. We just had a new roof 2 years ago. We just had an AC last year. Okay, great. It looks like you've been trying to sell this thing for 30 days. Is that right? Yeah, about that. How long are you going to give it? What's your timeline on this? Next question in. Oh, well, you know, I'm not really in a rush, but I'd like to get it moved. Okay, good. And then the condition's good. Do you have a price in mind? I know you've got it at 200,000, but is that negotiable at all? And they go, no, I want 200. Okay, is it? And then I might try and get some information on the mortgage, right? Oh, do you owe about 200 on the house? Oh, no, I've only got about 60,000 left. Oh, okay. So I know there's equity, but he doesn't want to. So it's a price thing. He wants a higher amount. Okay. So that's when now with the experience, I would now go in a bit further, but you could now pull off that call. Okay, great. Well, I've got the information. Let me look at it. I'm going to get back with you with an offer and you'd be done. Now, if I was in that call, what I would do and find that I'm going to say, well, look, Bill, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, that you want 200,000. It seems like you're pretty set on that, right? And I know you're open to renting it. What would you want in rent? I'd try and get that out of you. And then say, well, look, I'm going to be honest, Bill, you know, you want 200,000. It's probably, you know, a little high, if I'm being honest, for the area. That's probably why it's not selling. Or it seems like a fair price. So if I could get you that 200,000, Bill, would you be interested in renting it for a year or two first? That wouldn't work, would it? So all I'm doing now is I'm positioning a lease option without bringing a lease option up.
Okay.
Right? Where if he said, go again, and he's like, I got to sell this thing as fast as I can't afford to hold it. I can't rent it out. Now I need to know, well, why? So I need to know what that motivation situation is. Like, why does he need? What's going on? Because that's important to know. And now I need to solve that problem. So is it really that he needs to sell it, or does he need $5,000 to do something with? You see what I mean? So it could be where I could still make the lease option work if I could get him some money down, or an owner finance work, or maybe I can work the cash in because he needs to cash out. So you see how knowing that information is how I go into that position accordingly. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let's do a quick role play. Give me a scenario that you want to do. And I want you to be the investor, but give me a typical what's kind of running at, and then we'll role play it based on what we've just talked about. And then we'll analyze how it went.
Okay. Situation where the house is sitting vacant. But we just ran into this not too long ago in a really nice neighborhood, but it's been sitting vacant, and it's obviously been sitting vacant for quite a while.
Okay.
6 months to a year.
Right.
And I would really like to find out if I could acquire this property.
Okay. So it's 6 months to a year. Okay. That's vacant. It's in a nice area. And have you had a conversation, or that's where we're at? Have you actually in this real?
No, actually, the house is still furnished. It looks like someone just picked up and left and never returned. And it's
Got
been
it.
in condition for quite a long time.
Got it. Okay. And there's pictures online. Is that how you know about it?
No, we found it for driving for dollars. We were driving
Nice.
through the neighborhood, and actually, no, that's incorrect. We found it through one of the like Deal Machine or something like that. We found it that the criteria I put in was vacant homes, and it come up as a vacant home, and we stopped by it in a really nice suburb, one of the better suburbs of our community.
Got it.
Just got out and walked around the house a little bit and peeked in the window, and it said that it had been vacant for 6 months to a year, but it looked like someone just used to live there and just walked away from it and never returned.
Got it. All right. Well, I'm going to give it you then in this, and I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm going to at least be the owner, get on the phone. I'm going to make up something, but I want you to get like what questions you would be asking me, and we're just going to go from there. All right. Now, I will tell you, role play is super hard, right? It's uncomfortable. So if you can role play, you can talk to sellers. I will tell you that.
Already
So
feels uncomfortable.
exactly. And I want people to pick up on this because this is really important. I analyze people kind of for a living in a coaching way. And what I found is as soon as I said, what's the scenario? I could see you get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice changed and you were like, we've just been rolling this whole time. But now we put that situation going on and we're about to go into something. Now the anxiety, the pressure starts to build and it starts to change, right? And I could tell that in your voice. So just stay relaxed, and this is normal, right? And the more when you do this, it's much harder with me. Role playing is way harder than it is talking to the seller themselves, right? So just relax, and if we get tongue-tied, we're just going to get through it. So I don't want you to worry about it, is what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So we got this scenario. You've gone driving for dollars. All right. And this thing's vacant. It's furnished. You obviously, because you've seen in, you've skip traced me. Okay. And again, guys, skip tracing. You want to get batchskiptracing.com. Use the code Gavin to get a discount if you want a skip tracing company. So that's where we're at. You call me, you skip trace me, and you're just going to call me outright. We've not even text. You're just calling. All right. And we're just going to go with it and see where we go. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ring, ring, and I'm going to say hello because you're calling me. So ring, ring. Hello.
Hi. This is Bill Manganero, and I know this call is out of the blue, but I believe you own a home at 123 Main Street. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Well, I've been trying to find who the owner of this property was because I was interested if maybe you would be interested in selling the home. If we,
Yeah. Okay. I'd be interested. How did you find my number?
well, we have a program called Nexus Lexus that we use to find homes that we're interested in, and your name popped up or your home popped up.
Oh, okay.
Just give you a
Interesting.
quick call to find out if you would be interested in selling it. And apparently you are. That's great. Can you tell me a little bit about the house? How many bedrooms and bathrooms and so on?
Yeah, so this is it's in a great area. Obviously, you've seen the area. It's a 4-3. Okay, it's about 250, 2,500 square foot, and it's. I had to actually leave several months ago. I got a job transfer, so me and the family just kind of picked up and. I added a lot of equity and we had to move. I got this opportunity. I had to leave real fast. So I just haven't really got around to, doing anything with it as yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Yeah, you're right. It is in a nice neighborhood. That was why I was interested in calling you about it. What if you were going to sell it? What would you be asking for it?
I don't know. I don't even know what things are selling. I mean, do you want to make me an offer?
Well, I'd love to make you an offer, but I would need to take a little closer look at it. So if I can ask you a couple more questions about it, would that be all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. For instance, when was the last time a new roof was put on it?
Oh, probably about 8 years ago.
Oh, 8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the AC unit, the heat pump and so forth?
The AC is probably about 4 years old. It's in
Okay.
great condition. Never had a problem.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. What else are we asking?
Are there are there any other issues with the house, that we would want to be aware of?
Um, no, not really. I mean, it's a little bit outdated, maybe. Could do with maybe a paint and a carpet, but otherwise everything's in working order. It was great. And we just left last minute and everything's still in there, to be honest.
Hmm,
So yeah, so I've not really thought about selling. I've got to do something with it because it's just sitting there. And
right.
but I've not really thought too much. I've just been busy with this whole move and new job.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. Well, I would certainly like to do a little bit more research on it. Would there be any way that we could take a look inside, take a walk around it, and get inside and take a look at it?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that. I'm obviously in DC now, so I can't obviously be there, but I've got family in the area that I might be able to, get them a key and to get you in.
Okay.
So yeah, I could do that.
Great. Yeah, I'd like to do that. Um,
So just off role play real quick, just a couple of things that you could go into. Doing a great job, find out that condition, okay? But you want to know what I'm thinking. Obviously, I'm not giving you much. I've been busy and doing all these things, but want to definitely try and get out is, do I just want to sell it outright, or am I interested in renting it? Right? I want to try and get that out. So I'd go something like, okay, great. Okay, so it sounds like it's in decent condition, and we do need to get in. Just leading on from where you were, we do need to get in. But let me ask you, Bill, is this something that you just want to sell? Like, is this, if we could make this kind of easy and buy it with, and you could leave all the stuff in, or do you want to get all the stuff out? Like, where's that? Where are you at with that? And then it might then go, well, no, I need all the stuff. I don't want to do that. So then now time. So I guess you got time. I mean, it's been sitting there a long. So you're not in a rush to do any of this, right? No, I'm not really in a rush. So I can start finding out this timeline, right? We've hit the price button. I don't know, but the timeline. And then would it be, I guess, I'm just curious. I mean, would you even consider renting this at all
mhm.
and then selling it? Have you thought about that? Well, yeah, I might consider that. So I'm just trying to see if I'm going to shut any of them offers down. Oh, no, I'm not renting it. I might say, no, definitely not renting it. If I'm going to sell it, I just need to sell it. So I know, okay, renting's now not an option yet, but he doesn't know that I'm going to look after the property. So again, the sandwich lease, right? So we don't need to go there yet. But after I've got this, we'll be weaning off the phone call. And then when I come back at him, that's the kind of conversations that I would be having next.
That would be in a second phone call, right?
Correct. Because you don't want to keep him too long. You've now got access to get in, so that's good. But even before then, personally, I want to know something about the numbers. Does he want retail? Does he need to move the stuff? Is it easy if I say, hey, just leave all the stuff in there? Could I Airbnb it from him? Could I rent it from him and Airbnb it and buy it myself? Is it in an Airbnb area? All these things would be going through my head. And I'm asking questions to gather, to gather this information without me saying an Airbnb or a lease option or a lease purchase or an owner finance or a cash offer. I angle the question to get the answer that's going to give me what without bringing them words up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that helps. But you did a great job. But anyway, let's jump back into the role play for you to finish it up. Obviously, they're just a couple of things that you could have added, but you did great. So yeah, let's go back in to finish this up.
Okay. So yeah, I'd like to make arrangements with your relatives to get in there and take a look at it. But let me ask you this too. would you be at all interested in maybe doing a rental or maybe a lease option? That wouldn't work for you, would it?
I don't know. I probably not. I don't want to deal with it. I'm in a different state now. And,
Right.
this is in Tennessee and I'm in DC, and I don't want the hassle of a rental. So no, I just
Okay.
want to sell it.
Well, you kind of got up and left kind of quickly and kind of left all your stuff behind. Would you be needing to get all of that out of the house first, or would you want to just leave everything behind? Because you could do it either way if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, we've bought a load of new stuff and I've just got a couple of personal things I need. But yeah, I mean, it'd help me if I don't have to move all that stuff.
Right. You wouldn't
Yeah,
have to do anything
I'd
whatsoever.
I'd consider that. I just need a couple of personal items out of there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, if we can leave it, well, yeah,
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
down for
Well, then
that.
let me ask you this question then. What if I could buy this house from you, close in somewhere between 15 and 30 days, avoid you having to pay any type of a real estate commission. And if we paid all of the closing costs for you, what do you think the best price would be if I could do all of that for you?
That's great. Awesome. Great question. Off role play, right? Really good. That's good. That's so you learn you're picking up what you need to see again from I don't want to rent. And sorry, let me get back in. Yeah, I mean, I consider it if it's the right price. I just don't know what that price is.
Yeah.
I'd have to really do some research, and if you can come back and kind of make me an offer, and if I feel that that's fair and right, then I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to take a look at it too, and I'd have to see what it's worth, kind of pull some comps, take a look at it.
Yeah,
But yeah, maybe you want to think about that a little bit. So if I can take care of everything for you, and basically it would just be you coming to pick up the personal items that you would want and just me giving you a check. That would be it. So I want you to keep that in mind and let me have the information that I need to get in touch with your relative and we'll go in and take a look at it and then we'll take it from there. What do you say?
perfect. Sounds great. Okay,
Good.
so off role play, great. We get that information going. So yeah, did really good. Okay, in that the way that you positioned it. Now on your second phone call, based on this, you now, because I'm not giving you anything, you can now start doing some price anchoring, some kind of positioning on the price. Let's say this thing's done up, selling for 200 grand, right? And let's say Nashville is pretty, or surrounding, it's pretty hot. So I'm just going to do maybe 75%, right? So 200,000 at 75%, it'd be 150. Let's say it needs, we think 30,000 in work, right? Let's say, let's say we're going to go in about 110, 100 grand, something like that as a starting point, right? And go from there, right? You could price in at that. And maybe it's too low, but just you could probably say it like when you got back on the phone, and we'll wrap this up here, but on that second call, you've done your numbers. You might ask me if I've done my numbers, and let's say I'm busy and I haven't. Just say, well, look, things are selling that have been done up on the retail. I don't know. Like, I mean, how does 100,000, 110, something like that sound to you? If we could kind of close fast and see what reaction you're going to get, right? If I'm absolutely not, that's ridiculous, then I need to bring it back down and we need to, make movements. But I want to know, I might consider that, or it's a little low. If you could come up a bit more, then I think we're on the right track. You can kind of gauge where you're at. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now, obviously, you're probably thinking that the house is more than 200 grand, but I'm just plucking numbers here, right? For this conversation. So that's how you then start to work them numbers in, and you don't just come in and say, I'll pay you 110, right? You got to try and position like you're unsure. This is the range. What do I think? What do you think? Because now if I take offense to it, I can get out of it.
Do you
Yeah.
ever anchor them by like coming in and saying, well, we looked at it and we wanted to make a cash offer, but you're just going to be mad if I give you
100%. Yeah, all the time.
Okay, just to anchor them so they're just prepared.
Yeah, and them dragging it out of you.
Okay.
So I might say on that is, we've been to see the house, it's in decent condition. You're right, Bill, the house in decent condition, and I really want to close on this and pay closing and do all them things I said, but I just don't think the price is going to work. It's going to be too low. You're not going to be interested. And then I just stay silent. And then what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, what is it? What's the amount? No, honestly, I don't even want to embarrass myself. We've got a great relationship. I don't want to offend you. I just don't think it's going to work. So it doesn't matter. And then you're going to go again. Well, no, what is it? So then when I say 100 or 110, you're not going to get that fire back at you, because if you do, you can shut it down immediately and say, no. That's why I didn't want to tell you. I agree it's low. That's why I didn't want to. So you can diffuse that real quick.
Come back and ask you, well, how did you arrive at that number? Because I'll ask them.
Yeah.
They throw a number at me. I'll ask them, well, how was it that you came to arrive at that number? And I will require that they justify, oh, well, that's what, Joe Blow down the street sold his house for. And that's what I think my house is worth.
Yeah.
So how do you, if they ask me to justify how I came up with that number, what process do I use to explain to them?
Well, when you say that, if they're asking you, well, how did you come up with that number? Just say, well, look, we buy houses, cash, and we need room to obviously fix them up, flip them, and make a profit. I have to make a profit on this, Mr. Seller. So from what's selling on the open market and for the amount of money that I think needs to be put into this, that's how I ended up at the 110. And go from there. Or, Mr. Seller, you could put 30, 40,000 in, and you might be able to get close to 200 for it. Well, maybe that's an option. And they're going to go, well, I ain't got time for that. I don't want to do that. I'm living over here.
Commission to a real estate agent.
Yeah. Plus they're going to pay the commission and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Based on this, this is all theory, what we're talking, but it's good for you to have the conversations because you could see you were confident towards the end, like you got into the rhythm. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate it. I know we went a little longer, but I thought that was good. How was it? What did you think? Was that helpful?
Yeah, it was great. I want to do it
again.
Now that I feel a little bit more comfortable, I'd like to, start another one from scratch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're going to take this now and get on the phone and start using it.
Right.
And
get those texts up.
And this is, get the text, start having conversations. You ain't got to figure it out. Remember, there's always somebody else in the business who you can ask, right? You can always divert things. That's a great question. My partner, my wife actually does that. Like, you can pivot things if you're unsure. And anyone watching, don't think you need all the answers, right? Go and get the answers after, when it's actually a real situation. And then you'll just get better the more you do.
Good deal.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you watch out for the recording when it goes up. Also, guys, if you're interested in working with me, go to reinetwork.com/coaching and we'll go from there. All right, guys, have a great one, and I will talk to you soon.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye-bye.